Hello. This week I happen to be in Chichester in West Sussex in England. And by the way, everything that ends in Chester goes back to Roman times, because Chester comes from castrum, which means a camp, the Roman camp. So Chichester, Porchester, even the town of Chester itself is referring to the times of the Romans and their camps here. That's by the way. And of course, many churches here. You see the lovely cathedral, although the last church that you saw sadly is being turned into a pub, a sad reflection on the state of Christianity in Western Europe, I think we could very validly say. But we're looking this week at number 7 in the series on the book of Daniel, looking at Daniel chapter 6. This one's entitled From the Lion's Den to the Angel's Den, and in churches all over the world the story of Daniel and the lion's den has been repeated. Interesting, of course, that very often we don't actually have the end of the story when the king orders all of Daniel's opponents and their families to be thrown into the lion's den, and they are immediately killed. So there's some interesting aspects as we look through this. Darius seems to believe that Daniel's God can save him, and comes early morning, Daniel, has your God been able to save you? And so on. So he has some kind of glimpse into Daniel's God and his ability and his power, but just like many of those oriental monarchs of the time, Nebuchadnezzar and so on, they really had a very black and white view of things. You're right, you're wrong, you live, you die, and so on. So as we think about this, maybe we already should start asking some questions. Couldn't God have saved Daniel from going into the lion's den in the first place? And there's a quote in our notes for this time from Merv Russell. God could have kept Daniel out of the lion's den, but God has never promised to keep us out of hard places. What he has promised is to go with us through every hard place and bring us through victoriously. I do like that. Sometimes we complain, God, why am I in this situation? And often the answer from God is, well, be patient and see what I plan to do here to help you out. I'm not going to keep you from troubles and hardships, but I am going to be able to help you and to deliver you. Another question that maybe comes up as we think about this is, why didn't Daniel close his windows? Then nobody would have seen him praying. There wouldn't have been this trouble. These people who are taking advantage really of Daniel's religious practices, his commitment, his faith in God. If he closed the windows, nobody would have known and everything would have been fine, wouldn't it? Well, I think Daniel would have seen that as some kind of compromise, and he refused to do that. He went on doing exactly what he had done before. He wasn't going to change the way that he operated, and he wanted truly to witness to God. He knew that God could take care of him, and even if God didn't, he knew that God would bless him in this life and in the future. So I think as we think of these things, as we think of Daniel and the lion's den, let's consider that despite our circumstances, God is always there for us, and that this life is not even the most important one. I'm sure Daniel also was looking forward to something beyond all of this. So let's keep that in mind as we study and make this story not simply something we give to the kids, but something that really does speak to us about the kind of person God truly is.